Okay, here's your water.
Wait a minute. Is this like the poison test? Where like there's poison in one cup and we keep switching and then we lose track of which one has poison because we suspect the other one has the poison?
Yeah, yours has the poison.
Jesus, man, you do healthy pours.
You don't have to drink.
You just don't want anyone to die of thirst, I guess.
Okay, so this is Austin 85. So today's episode is sponsored.
No, it isn't.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to Mamiyamigos, the second podcast of the Texas Roundout Rodeo.
This is the follow-up podcast. We kind of set the stage.
We did.
On the first night that we were out here.
Yeah. And if you haven't, watch that one first and then come back to this one.
Absolutely. Well said, my brother.
Okay, guys, let's just get this out of the way now. We have been on the road for 8 days, and today I think is that day where we're just slap happy.
Just being propped up by caffeine and ice cream and barbecue.
The amount of Coke Zeros / Diet Cokes that we have been injecting into our systems is, I mean, honestly, throughout Texas, we have single-handedly put some of these gas station rest stops. We kept them in business. Last time we talked on our podcast about, it was day 1. We had just seen a bunch of stuff, and now we're day 100, and we don't remember what day 1 was.
Day 100. It's dramatic. I mean, we covered a lot. I think I think we talked about like how we have a map of pins. Mm-hmm. I think we hit about maybe like 60 or 70%.
Yeah, you're right. Like 65 to 70%.
We did pretty good.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So Google Maps has this feature where you can like basically create your own map. I don't know if you know that. That's what we use a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if we're the people that use it the most at this point.
Probably. We have a lot of maps, shared maps between the two of us. The thing that I've noticed between day 1 and day 6 is that the closer you get to a city, the scarcity of like abandoned things or small towns that are kind of more desolate or rural.
Yeah.
The middle 2 to 5 days has been kind of crazy.
Yeah, we kind of slowly evolved from just like a very structured, like, go to this pin, to basically just like, well, let's start heading towards this pin. We know we'll find stuff along the way. Sunset's going to happen in the next 2 hours. Like, we'll just find something along the way. But, I mean, we covered so much area. We went south, and then we went to the west, like almost as far as El Paso. From there, we went north. Very far north. We're almost in Oklahoma.
Totally.
And now we're 30 minutes from Austin currently.
Yeah, we've been doing, I would say on average, probably 4 to 5 hours of driving. Yeah, that's just like total driving, but that's not total time. Because time is,
it's a construct.
Time is you're right. I was hoping to get into this town or whatever town we picked at like 6. That would have been kind of nice to just like chill the hell out. But
what town are we in right now?
Dripping Springs. I can't even say it. This is the weirdest town name, man. Dripping Springs.
Yeah.
Well,
is that its full name? Yeah, dripping is just not a. It's not a good word, dude.
It's not a good word.
Might as well call it like moist springs or
it's
something.
Like people are divisive about moist.
Yeah. Well, I think people should be divisive about dripping too.
Except, oh my God, today though.
There was one very interesting house. Yeah. It wasn't something we were expecting to come across. We saw it from a distance and we're like, well, maybe there's a road to get to it. You're talking about that house?
Yeah, and there was.
There was a road, barely, and weaving through some cactuses and stuff, we were able to pull up to it. And how would you describe this house?
The left side was collapsed. The right side was very slanted. But then you also had like the front section was also very collapsed.
It very much so looked like it had maybe a couple more years before it was like fully down. You couldn't go in. It was overgrown. Mm-hmm. You know what's funny though? I feel like every day on this trip, we've had some moment where we like peer into one of these buildings and there's always like something where we're like, dude, you gotta come shoot this real quick. There's always like that one thing that was like, Like a couple days ago, we were in an abandoned school, literally in the middle of nowhere. But you turn the corner into the auditorium, and it's just like so expansive inside. And
oh
just
my God, that was
destroyed
good.
And everything. And it was just like this whoa moment.
It's, that one was kind of crazy too, because like we've seen schools in our time for sure.
Yeah.
And auditoriums, for some reason, I feel like is the place where people put stuff. There was one in Kansas that like the auditorium was literally full of old chairs and desks, and they're like, you know what, put it in the auditorium.
Yeah.
But this one, you're right. It was empty. It was like basically empty. Maybe one or two things there, a few basketballs. That was cool.
Yeah. The hoops were still up.
Yeah.
Even though the windows were blown out and the floor was like dirt.
But that one was also weird too, because like someone at some point definitely converted it to like house animals. The wow moment for today's house was the piano. There's always something. So today at that house, and I've noticed it a few times, but you never really remember. But like, so they had a light pole or some sort of pole or whatever, maybe power
stripper pole.
It's true. Yeah, it was a very thick one though.
Outdoor stripping pole.
But on the pole, there's like a piece of metal that just in the wind, because the past 2 days have been windy as hell, and it just like it starts like clacking. The wind picked up at a certain point. I was about to shoot something, and then it started like cling. I was shit! Well, what is it? Like I thought it was like an animal or something. Or
it got me too once or twice. I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, no, the piano, that was beautiful, and then the TV, the old school TV, it was like
that piano was like surprisingly intact for the
You're
house.
right.
Like that house looked like it got a bomb dropped on it.
Yes,
and that piano was just sitting there perfect. I don't know.
Yeah. It was. We should have climbed in that window and tried to play.
I don't know, man.
Play chopsticks,
hot cross buns. What have been some of the dangers on this trip? I mean, the wind was like incredibly strong. It was up there. I don't know how fast it was, but there were a few moments where the wind picked up and it like legitimately like blew me over for a second.
I didn't realize until later that day that we had a warning on. I had a warning on my phone saying severe wind warning. Earlier in the week there were tornadoes up in the Panhandle, so that was the thing that I didn't even have on my mind. And then so when that wind was picking up and it was dusty, like the sun was weird.
Basically for an hour and a half before like total sunset, the sun just kind of went behind this like dust cloud and was like barely visible, and there was like almost no light, and it was just like gone. Like you would stand in the middle of this field or something, and like miles away from you, you can just see a wall of just dust, pretty much like encompassing
haze.
you. There was one location at the end of the day, that little small town, and we were taking pictures of that like grain silo and the train station and stuff, where the wind just like really picked up, and we're like, we should check if there's a tornado warning, because this is like intense.
Yeah, and it felt also weird too because there's not a lot of people around, so we're like, are we just those idiots from out of town who are just like, for some reason, out taking photos?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was fine. We were good.
We're not dead, obviously. Dogs.
Dogs are always a pain. Oh my God, dogs.
We had to skip out on some locations because there were like loose dogs, and you
don't want to play that game.
I
don't want to get bit by a dog.
I mean, they're just doing their jobs,
Totally. But it does.
They're like the IRS kind of, IRS agents are just doing their job.
They're just doing their job.
You fucking hate them.
But anyway. You don't like them. You didn't experience this, but I experienced it where this whole town was dead.
Yeah.
There was like maybe 2 people who lived there. I went to this church and it was beautiful. It was like a church and a house right next to it where I bet the priest lived or something. And so I go up to it. I'm like trying to find the angle here, and then I notice the door is like slightly ajar. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I'll go in. I'll check it after this, right? So I take the photo, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll walk around it. Let's see what there is, right? Huh. I come back around to the front, and this was one of the days where it wasn't windy. Usually, wind makes plays tricks on you, sounds, whatever. Come around, the door is shut completely.
So somebody moved it.
I was like, nope. Yeah. I'm out. Yeah. See ya.
I guess the tick thing too was like another problem.
Yeah, that was fun. I woke up one morning with a tick in my bed. We were about to leave, and I was just like, oh, what else is... Like, did I forget anything in my sheets? I usually just throw my sheets over just to make sure. Yeah. And there's a fucking tick there. It's massive too. Yeah. So like for like 2 days, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to die. Took a picture, and it was an American dog tick. I couldn't see a bite anywhere, but I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, that's the thing about looking up like symptoms on the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's always like your dick's gonna fall off, or like you're gonna die in
Well,
20
I didn't
days.
say that one, but I could have been worried about that.
I must be looking up different
You
things.
must be looking up weird things.
I feel like over the years, just shooting like abandoned stuff with you, I don't want to say I've developed a sixth sense for it, but like,
Yeah.
sometimes I just feel like, you know, if you feel like you're being watched or someone's nearby, chances are probably somebody is. Sometimes you look for signs.
Yeah.
You know, like you notice the door,
Totally.
which is like 100%. That's a sign that someone's there.
Yeah.
You know, but then you look for like other things like fresh footprints. Usually, if there's like equipment or gear that looks relatively new, you just learn to look for those signs. And I can't place anything specifically, but we went to a motel that was like this very beautiful, like pinkish red color.
Yeah,
had
it
to
was
shoot it
sick.
completely abandoned, or so we thought, and maybe it was. I don't know. But we were walking through, and I just kind of had this feeling of like, I don't know, something isn't 100% right here. Let's just shoot it and get out of here.
Yeah. This was a big town. They had a lot of stuff there. Mm-hmm. Big towns, they definitely can attract people who need to have shelter.
Housing, yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, what is it really going to be? It's going to be a weird encounter, and maybe they're on something that might...
On something cool.
Yeah. It was different. It was definitely eerie, but it was cool. I mean, before we met the constable at...
Yeah, we felt like we were being watched. Yeah.
We definitely thought we were being watched, which we were. But that one house was really creepy. It was like there was this really cool church that I was like, man, if there was a way to get to it, it would be beautiful. But there wasn't. But there was this little house right next to it that you could kind of make your way in. And we walked in, and it was just like it had 100% been abandoned for a billion years. But like a lot of times, beds are overturned or bed frames are thin.
Yeah.
This bed was like literally we could have laid down on it.
I mean, I wouldn't. No, yeah, that was definitely one of those locations where I was like, I don't know. Yeah. This seems like it's like another thing you can't quite place.
It was too fresh, but also at the same time, 100% abandoned. So a lot of places you go into with these abandoned, they become a dumping ground. You'll see beds, you'll see beer cans, you'll see like literally anything that you don't ever want. You just throw it in this house and you just leave.
Yeah.
That's a lot of abandoned houses. This one, zero.
There was nothing, yeah.
Someone left, and that's what it was.
It just got like buried and
it
it's
got buried
off the grid.
And you can't see it unless you go through this little patch. And
nobody knows where it is unless you know where it is, I guess. Well, the church right next to it was super overgrown, and that is like where we're guessing if you got a tick, that's probably where it was from.
And the other thing is like if it did come in on me, it probably just came on my clothes or something like that and somehow got in the bed and like
phrasing, man.
That constable, like I don't know about you, but I felt more comfortable after communicating with him because he basically like he came by, he's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, oh, we're just taking photos, blah blah blah, and we gave him our spiel and he's like, okay, cool. He goes, he drives around, whatever, we go to another location, then he comes back around and then we have like, I don't know, a 10-15 minute conversation and really kind of I don't know, just talk about the community a little bit, which was really nice. And then I don't know about you, but I felt more comfortable anytime these people come through and they stop us, because we've been stopped 5 times, would you say?
Yeah. I was kind of thinking earlier when we were talking about it, it was like some places you go into, I would say like 90% of the time, we just try to be as visible as possible, make the cameras as visible as possible. Because it just reads clearly. If you see us with a camera from a distance, you're like, oh, they're just taking pictures. Okay, whatever, no problem.
Yeah.
When we first started looking at abandoned buildings, that was not the case. We thought, just be as quiet and just be as stealthy as possible.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, make yourself known and just like let people know you're there. Don't announce yourself, but just make yourself semi-obvious, you know?
Yeah.
And most of the time people won't really care. They'll get the idea.
It's interesting because like Texas, bros, you got your fences on lockdown.
There must be like a fence guy in every town.
There has to be.
Collecting money.
Because fences are on point and no trespassing is on point.
Yeah.
And we don't play those games because we don't want to play those games. It's such an interesting thing, the difference between California and Texas with the abandoned things that we go into. It's like, you know, California is just like almost like free range. Everyone was spray painting everything. And these are like, no trespassing. Okay, I guess I'm not going to trespass.
Yeah.
But it's been there for like 100 years. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was actually quite surprised that a lot of the locations we went to did not have graffiti whatsoever. We went to a church today.
It's perfect.
Was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
No one in there like fucking shit up. Everything was just intact. I mean, the door was like kicked in or something.
Well, yeah, and then glass always is messed up.
And that wasn't the only location. We've been to several locations where there's like pretty much no graffiti. You mentioned this in the car the other day. You're like, do you think we're like, who was the last person to photograph this location, if ever?
Yeah.
Are we the first? Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a location that's been around for potentially 100 years.
Like today, we were in this little small town.
Yeah.
You're being watched, you know it. I went in to use the restroom. I talked to the guy who was at behind the counter a little bit, and he's just like, "What you doing?"
I thought you were going to be like, I talked to the guy who was in the restroom with me.
Nice guy. Asked him what we were doing. Yeah. Gave him the spiel. Yeah. Then went throughout the town and kind of looked because it was a small community, very small. And I was just walking down the street, and I was vlogging, camera out here, like, you know, being stupid. And then I was like, oh, I see a car. I'm just going to not be a weirdo and just, you know, turn the camera off and just kind of walk in, whatever. And he stops and he's like, what you doing? I was like, oh, this town is, you know, caught our eye. We're taking photos. He's like, you want to go in that building right there? I was like, okay, sure. And so like, he just pulls over and we go into the community center, which I find out was a community center 5 years ago. Honestly, I think I had like a 25-minute conversation with him. Then the fire chief pulls up just randomly. He's like, oh, there's my cousin, the fire chief. And I was like, oh, okay. And he comes in. But also, there was a piano in there. And I was like, oh, yeah, damn. So I took a photo of it.
It's always pianos, yeah.
Always a piano. There's always a piano. Huh. So it was just nice. I mean, it's like those little conversations. We've had several of them. Everyone in Texas everyone who stopped, they're just so proud.
We were talking to a lady in some small town, but we were talking to her for maybe like 15 minutes or so and just talking about how we love these historical buildings and stuff. And she's like, oh, I'm restoring this house down the street. You guys want to come in and take a look?
Totally.
We did not take her up on the offer because she'd probably kill us.
Yeah, she did seem like she had a few tools that could remove a face.
No, she was very nice, but we were kind of on a schedule and super behind schedule.
That was one of those days where we had to like, I think we had to like get out west.
We had to hustle, we had
to go.
But you know, when you see something cool, you got to pull over and shoot it. But yeah, I mean, back to the point, it's just like the people in Texas have been very kind to invite some strangers you just met on the street into your home in this super small town. Like, is incredibly nice.
The one time in Kansas when we were in a building, someone pulled up and they yelled at us, and they were like, get the fuck out of here or I'm calling the cops.
Oh, wasn't that in like Oklahoma? I think that was in Oklahoma.
Was it Oklahoma?
Yeah. Give some cred back to Kansas.
Yeah. Kansas is cool. Oklahoma, you suck.
Oklahoma fucking blows. I mean, I got pulled over there like recently for going 76 and a 70.
At like 6 to 5, like, come on.
Dude, if you get hit by a car going 76... and you get hit by a car going 70 miles an hour, do you think you're going to feel a difference?
No, you'll be dead.
That's what I should... Yeah, you're going to be fucking dead.
You're dead.
That's what I should have said to the cop who pulled me over. If I hit a drifter going 76, they're not going to know the fucking difference.
And who even cares?
Yeah, he probably doesn't have a family.
Even that guy in Nevada, the one that was like, oh, I saw you. You remember the band? In one of our videos, both of our videos, at some point in time, there's this place that had a bunch of abandoned stuff that we went to twice. We had to. So we go one day, we shoot, no one talks to us. We come back the morning, and then we get stopped by this guy.
Yeah.
Who lived around the area.
Yeah.
And at first he was like, what you doing? And he was like, he was getting in our shit.
Well, he was just kind of like, hey, I've seen your car here twice now. Like, what are you guys doing here? We were just like, oh, we're photographers. We just are in the area. This is a cool location. And started talking to him and... you know, just like easing things up a little bit. And eventually he was like, okay, well, you know, have fun. And he made some joke. He was like, watch out for the zombies or whatever. And
it was clearly trashed.
Yeah.
Several years, maybe even 1 decade before us. So like we didn't do any of this. We're just there documenting. And so he lived around that area and he has this weird pride for it. And he doesn't want it to be messed up even more in a weird way.
Yeah.
It made no sense, but...
Yeah, it just doesn't hurt to have a conversation sometimes.
Oh yeah. And also it makes you feel better when you have that conversation because then you're like, you roll up to a location, you're like, ooh, okay, should I be here? And then you talk to someone and they're like, oh, cool, that's awesome. I'm glad you're seeing my town. Bye. Anyone else who would roll up and say anything, you'd just be like, yeah, I just talked with your neighbor and they're lovely.
Yeah, if you're like, I just talked to Joe, and they'll be like, oh, that's my cousin.
I love Joe. Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. The fire chief was like that one dude's cousin, and then the guy who worked at the corner store was the other dude's cousin. Like,
yeah, he's like, I think everyone in these small towns just does like multiple jobs. Like he's the mechanic, totally. He's the fireman, and like the gynecologist or something, you know? Oh,
yeah, totally. That would be weird.
Going back to that story in Nevada, it's like there's always like stuff we omit from our videos, or because like there's no footage for it, or it's just like a story that happened behind the scenes or something.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like writing an autobiography someday and just including all these like really sometimes like fucking weird shit that happens behind the scenes that like doesn't really make sense? Like I feel like I have a compendium like building up in my brain. If I were to write an autobiography about all the stuff that happened in between, like rolling the camera and stuff, I could have a full-on like novel at this point.
I've never really thought about. It's hard when you're doing your videos, right? Because it's like, what do you put in? You're trying to kind of be broad but specific and be on topic but not. And there's a lot of like just random human moments.
Yeah, and it would almost be kind of cool to like share that to some degree.
Totally.
But it's like you have no like proof to back it up. So I think like writing something would be like the perfect way to.
Wasn't there a book like New York Stories or something like that? Or it was a photo book?
Humans of New York, maybe?
Well, yeah, Humans of New York. Wasn't that a thing where it was like a photo book but also like stories?
Yeah, it was a lot of text about like the background of the people in the photos.
Yeah. If it had to be something, it would be like snapshots, because these are just snapshots of the road kind of thing almost.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'd have to omit a lot of stuff though, you know? Like we can't put it all in there because
there's a lot of.
Go ahead.
I tried to find a cowboy hat this entire time and it didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll probably come back because we have some pins left over, and you can maybe acquire one before then, or acquire one next time.
No, I totally will. So the next time. So because Texas is vast and we are on a time crunch.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it all. How many more days would we have needed? Probably another 4 days.
To be honest, I don't know if I could go another 4 or 5 days. Like every day is just like hitting the field, multiple locations. Yeah. I love the shooting aspect of it, but you know, it's like there is like a stress element to it of just like we were saying, just like these small towns, everyone's got their eye on you. They don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Also, like you don't know if animals are living in these buildings or people are living in these buildings.
Oh, dude.
You don't know what you're walking into sometimes.
Almost getting shit on. I almost got shat on by an owl.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing was freaking me out in that one. So we went to the first school we went to. And so like I go into this one room and all I hear is, and I see this fucking giant owl just open its wings and fly towards me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I turn the camera like, and I'm like getting out of there, and all I see is this streak of white coming from its ass. And I'm like, no! As I'm running out, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out.
It was white?
Mm-hmm.
It might not have been shit dog.
Dog.
Yeah, that was another location. I got stopped by a guy in a truck. I asked him some history of the town, and he was like, yeah, that school burned down like a long, long time. Like he said during his lifetime, that school wasn't even operational.
So then
and he was like an older guy. He was in his like 40s or 50s. Now that I'm thinking about it, somebody must have been mowing the lawn or something, because it was like pretty like well kept.
I mean, what else are you gonna do
in that town?
Yeah. The thing that's really another through line with all of these towns, where you build a better road, your town suffers. Yeah,
they build bypasses to get past some of these small towns, so there isn't like a slow, because when you come into a small town, it goes from 75 to down to like
50,
35 or something. And so a lot of these towns, they'll build bypasses. All the shops on the main street of these small towns, now that there's a bypass somewhere else, they end up losing a lot of business, and basically the town becomes rural and abandoned.
And then in today's town, same exact thing happened, but instead of a bypass that was like 3 blocks whatever, this was literally the main street used to be the street.
Yeah.
The judge, 2 judges ago, which was, I don't know, 80 years ago, decided, you know what? Let's build a larger street just right behind Main Street.
Yeah.
And that took all the traffic.
Yeah.
And then that meant that their main street died.
Literally just a block over.
Just a block away.
Well, I mean, we're basically on the back half of this trip now. I guess if you were to split this trip into two parts, it's what we were doing, which is just touring Texas and finding cool locations to shoot. Yeah. And now it's going to be planting ourselves in Austin for, there's a Beers and Cameras event. There's several small events that we're doing. Yeah. Are you looking forward to anything in Austin specifically?
Sleep. Yeah, not being in the car for 6 hours a day. I'm looking forward to good coffee. I'm looking forward to seeing our friends at the dark room.
Yeah.
Like not just Trev and Phil, but
well, Trev probably doesn't fall into that friend group. I don't think.
I mean, he only shot my wedding. It wasn't important. Or I think they're doing a dark room customer appreciation day or something like that. So people here in Texas who send stuff to the dark room, you know, they're having a small gathering for them specifically, which that will be cool to see. Yeah. You know,
going to the rodeo.
And talk. Oh yeah, we're going to the rodeo. That will be fun. Are you ready to get rid of me? And so get rid of Solo me?
No. Solo?
So a Star Wars story.
How many rolls did you shoot?
I shot 30. I think I counted earlier. I think it was 36, but I forgot that I had 36, 37. I had 30. I think I have 37 rolls.
I've shot 12. It'll probably be 14 by the end of this trip.
Yeah, but you also are shooting what, Jason? He is shooting digital.
You can't prove that.
He's shooting the monochrome, so he has 1,000 billion images in the monochrome.
Yeah, but is that digital?
Yeah. Very much, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Someone hasn't sold out.
Wait a sec. Wait. Hold on. Because I remember somebody telling me something about how he has a Pentax monochrome himself and how he should have brought it on this trip. And then, wasn't there something? This same person, this is just coming to me, is getting an M11D.
No.
Yeah, an M11D and has a Ricoh. So technically he has more digital cameras than me.
Yeah, but they're not mine, okay? I didn't put down money for those. Someone sent them to me so that I can play with them.
Money is a construct, like time, okay?
We have a lot of constructs going on here. Money, time. So yes, I shot 38 rolls at the end of this trip.
So the digital photographer shot 38 rolls of film. Go ahead.
I don't know what you're talking about. I had a Mamiya. Let's see. Oh, what does this say? Is this a digital monochrome?
Don't touch it. Don't even look at it.
Underexposed.
You're just like deleting all of them.
You know what the other thing is? I was going to say at another point. It does become repetitive, which then can very much like kill creativity a little bit, because you show up, you get out. You get your camera, then you're done, and then you put it away, and then you get in the car, and you go 2 minutes, then you get out.
Yeah.
You get your camera. It's a lot of repetitive nature to it.
Yeah, it becomes kind of formulaic too, you know? It's like, well, it's the middle of the day. How am I going to shoot this building that looks pretty similar to a lot of the other buildings I've been shooting? Well, I just look for which side of the building the light's hitting, and that's that. Yeah, every once in a while you find like a I would almost call it like a grail location.
And I think that's why those locations stick out the most to us.
Yeah.
Is because you get in and you can like really dial in that location a little bit.
Yeah.
The schools and the churches, there's just so much to explore there. And that one that we randomly went by, that house with the white Toyota.
Yeah. Google Maps will give you sometimes multiple options.
Yeah.
But like that route, it was like A or B, and B had a path through like a small town.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, usually small towns have something interesting.
Oh, totally.
Let's take that. So we went through the small town, but just out of the town was like a farm. But we would have totally missed that if we just took
the easy way.
A route.
Yeah, totally. The fast one. Yeah, totally. We were there for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes. Right at the very end, we're both done. I stumble upon this skull. It was a skull of a deer. It was like a 3-point deer or something like that. But it was just, I don't know, it hit me for a second there. It was just like, it was a cool, not that it was just like, oh, wow, a skull. It was like, I don't know. It was there's something about it. I don't know. There's something about it that
it's sad. It's a circle of life. Maybe.
Yeah. And it was almost kind of like these buildings a little bit. They have life, and then they come around, and then they have a different
sit there and decay. Eventually.
Yeah. Just like this skull that was in front of this house. And the other thing about little towns is in the town and out of the town there's always something. When you're about to get into that town, there's always like a thing or two that's like, meh, it's abandoned.
Yeah. When like a bypass gets built, or in some cases when like farming kind of falls out of vogue, and it's always the stuff like outside of the town a little bit, and it slowly starts to like creep in until the town's like done.
Do you think anyone has done this much introspection on the decay of small towns? And sure,
no, we're the first. This podcast is really breaking ground.
I was really hoping we were going to be like real novel in this space.
I mean, this podcast is humongous. I can't think of anything else. We might want to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. I don't even know how long we've been going. Feels like eternity.
15 minutes.
No, honestly, I feel like this is a very easy one, because like the first one was like, we're tired and we had a good day.
We don't know what to expect.
This we've had a really, I would say, a really tiring but awesome 6 days. We always say this: we're gonna build in a day of rest, and we never do. Why do we do this to ourselves?
Cool. Well, this has been another episode of your favorite podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input.
To Mamiyamigos and to Texas.
Yeehaw.
Thanks, y'all.
Cha-ching.